Hello, receiving students, 6C and teachers. Thank you. You may take your seats. In our last lesson, we looked at types of forces, lesson number 1. Okay, what happens when you push a small ball into the water and you let it go? What happens? Or what happens? Receiving students, you can tell your teacher. This is a recap question. What happens when you push a small ball into the water and you let it go? Belisha, thank you.
Gravity pushes the ball down and water pushes the ball up.
Again,
Gravity pushes the ball down and water pushes the ball up.
okay. Gravity pulls the ball down and the water pushes the ball up. Very good. Now, what do you think? Okay, when the water pushes the ball up, it floats on the water. Why do you think the ball floats on the water? Receiving students and 6C. Why do you think the ball floats on the water? Nora, thank you.
Because there's air inside the ball.
Because there is air
Air inside.
inside the ball. Good. What else? Rodney.
Because the ball is rubber.
Because the ball is
Rubber.
rubber. Okay. Now, receiving students and 6C, the reason why the ball is floating on the water is because what Melissa has said, the gravity pulls the ball down, and at the same time, the water pushes the ball up. That's why it floats on the water. Is that clear, receiving students and 6C? Okay, very good. Now, receiving students and 6C, we are still looking at the same outcome. And also, we are looking at the same strand and substrand. And our topic for today's lesson is types of forces, lesson number 2. That will be our topic for today's lesson. In this lesson, receiving students and 6C, we will describe man-made forces and natural forces. That's what we will do in today's lesson. Okay, I have something up here on the whiteboard. Receiving students and 6C, all eyes on the whiteboard. Thank you. Types of forces. Column 1, we have type of force. And column 2, what is the force doing. By now, receiving students in 6C, you should know pull and push forces. Okay? Number one, we have a blank space here. What is the force doing? The force is pulling down on the load in the wheelbarrow. Number two, the magnet is pulling on the paper clips so the girl can pick them up. Number three, the force of rubber is pushing the spear through the water. Number four, the force is pulling the door of the refrigerator and making it close. Number five, the force of the rubber pushes the ball back up into the air when the girl bounces it on the ground. And number six, the force is pulling the girl's skirt and making it stick to her legs. Now, this is what the force is doing. What you will do, receiving students in 6C, you will identify the type of force that has been used to do that work. Are we clear? Receiving students in 6C? All right, let's do number one as an example. The force is pulling down. The key word here that I have underlined is pulling. The force is pulling down on the load in the wheelbarrow. So what is the name or the type of that force? Receiving students, you can tell your teacher. 6C. The force is pulling down on the load in the wheelbarrow. So what is that force or that type of force? Pulling down. Pulling down. On air. Thank you, on air. Pull. Pull, good, but I'm looking for a word.
Pull.
Pull. Thank you. Yes, pull is a force, we know that. It's pulling down. So what is that type? Robert, thank you.
Because it's heavy. Because it's heavy.
Good try. I'm asking for a type of force. Pulling, it's pulling down. Taylor, thank you.
Gravity.
Very good. Give her 3 big claps. Okay, gravity is a type of force that is pulling down. Okay, gravity. So our answer for number one, the type of force is gravity. Okay, is that clear, receiving students in 6C? Any questions? Any questions? For example, why am I standing like this? Why am I not falling down? Why? It's because of the force of the gravity. That's why I'm standing like this, okay? I'm not falling down. It's pulling me against the head or the ground. Are we clear, receiving students in 6C? So if we are talking about pulling force, it's gravity. Okay, anything to do with pulling, it's to do with gravity. Are we clear, receiving students in 6C? Okay, now, You will work in your groups. Don't write anything down yet. Just you will have to discuss and try to identify the types of forces here. Okay, you can start now. I will give you 3 minutes to discuss with your friends. Number two, the magnet is pulling on the paper clips so the girl can pick them up. The keyword there is pulling, and the other keyword there is magnet. Okay? So what is the type of force being used? Discuss with your group members. Receiving teacher, you can also divide your class into groups. Let's look at number 2, the magnet. Magnet is pulling on the clips. So what is the force there? We are using? Very good. So number 2 is magnetic force. Okay, move on. Number 3. Are we all right? Okay. Number two. Maybe you come up with any answer for number 2. Sorry? From the hand. Okay. It's type of force. I'm not asking where the force came from. Okay. The type of force. Ashanti, are we all right? Number 2. Magnet is pulling on the paper clips. So what are they using to pull on the clips? Magnet. So what is the force? What is the type of force? I think the other group they already gave you the answer. Okay. Number 3. Number 3. Yes. Okay. Hello? No, just discuss and identify the types of forces. Robert, are we okay, boys? Huh? 1 and number 2. Types of force. Number 2. Number 2. What is being used there to pull the clips? What is being used there? Magnet. So the force will be no. The magnet is being used there. So it's the magnetic what? Yes. You look at because they have used the magnet to pull the clips. Girls, come on, discuss. receiving students and 6C, I did not ask you to copy down the table into Access book. I said you just discuss and identify the forces. That's what you should do. Which one? Which one? Number 3. The force is pulling the door of the refrigerator. Now, along the, when you close the door, or if you push the door, it will just go and stop. What is in there? This? No. There's a rubber. There's those black rubbers, and in those rubbers are magnets. That's what I'm pressing. So what's that? So, what is it? It's a yes. Rubber. Elastic rubber. So it's elastic. Yes. And number 5. Okay, let's look at number 2 together, 6C and receiving students. Eyes in front. The magnet is pulling on the paper clips so the girl can pick them up. That is what the force is doing. So what is that type of force? Robert? Thank you. Very good. Magnetic. Again?
Magnetic force.
Thank you, Robert. Magnetic force. Number 3. The force of rubber is pushing the spear through the water. Okay? What is the type of force? Here, the keyword here is pushing, and the other keyword, rubber. Emmanuel.
Elastic force.
Very good. Thank you, Emmanuel. Elastic force. Very good. Number 4. The force is pulling the door of the refrigerator and making it close. Same old people. What's your name? Joe. Joe, can you tell us the type of force?
Magnetic force.
Magnetic force. Very good. Now, receiving students and 6C, you might be wondering why we say magnetic force. Okay, now when you look at, or when you go back home and you try and open the refrigerator and you will see a black rubber, okay, on the side of the door, inside, I mean, okay. In those black rubbers, there are magnets. So when you close the door, it is tightly closed. That's why we say magnetic force has been used there. Is that clear, receiving students and 6C? Thank you. Let's move on. Number 5. The force of the rubber pushes the ball back up into the air when the girl bounces it on the ground. Madhu, thank you.
Elastic force.
Very good. Elastic force. The force is pulling the girl's skirt and making it stick to her legs. I don't know that answer too. Can anyone tell me? Receiving students, you can tell your teacher. The force is pulling the girl's skirt. Lorraine. Thank you, Lorraine.
Natural force.
Natural force. Okay. Elizabeth, thank you.
Gravity.
Gravity, good try. Ellie, Polly,
Wind force.
again.
Wind force.
Okay, you can say pulling force, yes. But the correct type of force that I'm looking for is electrical force. You might be wondering, oh, Mr. Raghu, why are you saying electrical force? Okay, I'll give you one example. Now, when you wash your clothes, when you put the clothes on the line, all right, and you leave them for a while or maybe a whole day, and in the afternoon or night, you go and get those clothes, and then when you get those clothes, you'll see that they are sticky. Yes, very good. Okay, so we say they are electric force, or electric force has been used. Are we clear, receiving students and 6C? Thank you. Okay, very good. Thank you, receiving students and 6C, for your answers. Now, let's move on. Your instruction. You will classify those type of force that we have identified under the two headings, which are man-made forces and natural forces. Okay? You will refer back to the forces that we have identified. Okay? Gravity, magnetic, elastic force, and electric force. Okay? So you will classify them under whether it be man-made forces or natural forces. Are we clear, receiving students and 6C? Do you have any question? Very good. You can begin now. I'll give you 4 minutes. 4 minutes. Okay, receiving students and 6C, this is the table that you have to copy it down into your exercise books. Okay, column 1 you have man-made forces. Column 2, natural forces. So all the forces that we have identified earlier, you will list them or you will classify them under man-made or natural forces. Receiving students and 6C, it shouldn't take you long to copy down the table. It should take you less than 1 minute. Okay, receiving students and 6C, let's go through the corrections. Okay, we have man-made forces and natural forces. Can anyone tell me what type of force will come under man-made forces? Only one, okay? Jason, thank you.
Electric force.
Electric. Are you sure? Nora. Jason, thank you for your answer. Nora?
Natural forces.
Very good. Natural. Okay. Electric force will come under natural forces. Uvau. Man-made forces.
Elastic force.
Elastic force. Okay, very good. On air.
Magnetic force.
Magnetic force will come under
Man-made.
man-made forces. Okay? Ron.
Gravity force.
Again?
Gravity force.
Gravity force will come under what type
Natural-
of force?
Natural force.
Again?
Natural forces.
Natural forces. Very good. Gravity. Is that all? Okay. So we know that elastic and magnetic are man-made forces. Electric and gravity are natural forces, okay? But electric, it doesn't mean that it always come under natural forces, but it can also come under man-made forces. Is that clear? Okay, very good. Thank you, 6E and receiving students, for your answers. All right, our summary for today's lesson. We have 2 summary points. Man-made forces are elastic, electric, magnetic, and friction. Friction, we will look at friction in our next lesson, okay? And the main natural force is gravitational force, or we say gravity. Okay, receiving students and 6C. Electric, it also come under man-made. Huh? Okay, it can be both natural or man-made. Okay, our key phrase for today's lesson, class. Again. Okay, man-made and natural forces. Our next lesson topic will be on force can make things move. Lesson number 1. And the materials that will be needed for that lesson, receiving teachers, take note of that. Students' workbook, plastic rulers, pencils, charts, magnets, strips of papers, rubber bands, and rope. Those are the materials that will be needed for the next lesson. With that, thank you, receiving students, 6C, and teachers for your participation.